Brodes Media.
I got to be honest with you. I am so fascinated with this conversation, and there's so many layers to it. Before we even talk, is Justin Fields worth it? I feel we need to even break it down from a different level. My first question I have for you all is, what is the role of a backup quarterback? Now, to be honest, I don't know where I fall yet. I honestly don't. You can make a legitimate argument that it makes sense to try and get Justin Fields. You could also make the argument that you're opening up a can of worms for no reason and you're applying some unnecessary pressure to Jalen Hurts, and I can stand on that side as well, even though I got plenty of rebuttals already that come to the top of my head, like if he was the franchise quarterback you expect him to be, no sort of competition should make him crack. He should answer the bell, be magnificent, and respond to the guy who's breathing down his neck. That would be my automatic response. But I understand that you can't treat the quarterback position the same way as a defensive tackle, a defensive end, a cornerback, because whether you want to believe it or not, going all in and the message being sent from the top of the franchise all the way down to the bottom with one guy being it. Hey, he's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no debating. There's no conversations. He's the guy. There is an importance to that. That's why this conversation intrigues me like no other. So, what is the job of a backup quarterback? Is it to know the role? Is that what it's about? Now, it depends on who your current starter is. Because if you have an Aaron Rodgers, let's say, Jordan Love is a very inexperienced young quarterback who is supposed to absorb all the information like a sponge. He's supposed to listen to Aaron Rodgers and watch the way that he goes about business so he could soak it in, and then once he gets the opportunity, he thrives because of all of those learning experiences, right? But that's not really the case that we have here in Philadelphia. So it really doesn't apply to this dialogue today. So what is the role of a backup quarterback with a Jalen Hurts at 24, 25 years old after getting a massive contract and being told that he's our starter for the foreseeable future? I think it's someone like a Joe Flacco. It's someone, in theory, before we saw some of the ugly play from Gardner Minshew, but it's a Gardner Minshew. It's, hey, Jalen Hurts is going down for 2 or 3 weeks. We need somebody who can go out there, be professional, run an offense, and put us in a position where our offense looks competent, where we can score some points and go win us a football game. I do think from a general sense, that's what you should be looking for, and Rob Motti of the Associated Press put this out last night, that the Eagles were in talks with potentially going after a Joe Flacco, and that would make a lot of sense. There was a time where I thought that the backup quarterback, why are you wasting your time? But then obviously when I've been watching Howie Roseman go to work and you win a Super Bowl due to Nick Foles and you draft Jalen Hurts in the second round because you don't believe in Carson, or you know the foundation was cracking and they saw some things behind the scenes that scared them and set off the alarm, so they definitely had to look to somewhat cover their ass by getting a different quarterback. You have to value it now. You just have to. We watched this team have a good record. They were fantastic. Jalen Hurts goes down. You just need to win a couple, and Gardner Minshew fails. Gardner Minshew not good enough. Now, here's Jalen Hurts, who has to get back on the field, play for a final game. You don't want to put yourself into that predicament. So your backup quarterback does matter. And the job of the backup QB is to know the role, step in when needed, and to have some veteran leadership with this current roster as it's built today. So now I ask the question, what is the role of a general manager? Because the role of the general manager is to put the best 53 man on the field. That's what it is. Get the best guys, maximize your value, find great talent, sign good free agents, make special trades, get good draft picks. But it really comes down to when you study each position. Did you do everything in your power to fill those said positions with the best player available? Get the best talent on the team, and that's how you sleep at night. That's the role of a general manager. Find good leadership, absolutely. Get good character guys, no doubt about it. Have the ones that are wired a certain way to go win a championship. Find your core four like Lane, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox. Absolutely. Put a good coaching staff together. Absolutely. That's what it's about. So then I ask, if you could find a first-round talent in Justin Fields for a sixth-round draft pick, a fifth-round draft pick, a third-day draft pick, isn't the job of a general manager to maximize that backup quarterback spot with the most intriguing ceiling, if so, especially for such a low draft pick? Isn't that the role of the GM? Yeah, it is. And that's why this gets a little murky and it's all over the place. Look, I definitely tend to lean towards you don't do it. You don't do it because you know exactly what's going to be said the moment the Eagles have some inevitable adversity. Because you're going to face it through 17 games. And because of why they went and collapsed last season, which was just a big-time breakdown and a huge snowball that they couldn't unstop or couldn't unravel, or it kept unraveling. They couldn't stop it. Jeez, maybe I could learn how to speak. So if you lose 2 games and it's, are they going to lose a third? Hey, the Dallas Cowboys are the next opponent. You're going into Dallas. You struggle to beat them in Dallas. I'm just kind of making up storylines as we enter that potential third loss in a row. We have to win this game. But if Jalen Hurts is throwing 2 interceptions the week prior, it's going to be screaming fans for Justin. Now, they're screaming fans no matter who the backup quarterback is, so maybe you shouldn't worry about that. And also, should Howie Roseman be making decisions based off of what I think, based off of what Bob from Center City feels? Because if you're worried that Jill from South Jersey thinks that Justin Fields should start week 5, and you're worried about that when trying to acquire the most talent for your team, that's silly. It really opens up a can of worms. Is it fair for a franchise quarterback to go through that? And I don't know if we're just scarred because we went through the Carson Wentz experience and he was so fragile that he broke down. But you got to also remember that Jalen's been dealing with this for a while now, even dating back to his Alabama days with Tua. And then maybe that means, because that's how this sport works. That's how this sport goes. That's how everything happens in the sports competitive field. You are looking, if you're Alabama, to bring in a Tua, to bring in a good quarterback. Mac Jones was at Alabama. You always try and get great talent. That's your job as Nick Saban. That's your job as Howie Roseman. So part of the reasons why he's always dealt with this is because that's the nature of the position. And if you crack and if you break down because of it, well, then you're not the franchise quarterback that maybe we all thought you were. And that's where the debate comes in.